how many of those friends are going to be with you when you're 70, 80, 90? So that is a big problem. You need to create your own circle. Typically, women have a much larger circle in that sense as compared to men. So which is why a lot of men find themselves, they really don't know what to do with their time. And that's a real fear. And that's exactly, what you were just expressing. If you had stress and tension about your workplace or your health or anything else, where your next paycheck is going to come from, that is obviously you're not in a happy or positive frame of mind in that case. I would believe that our goal in living longer is also living happier. Because if you're happy, you live longer. And like I said, not just physical health, your mental health is equally important.
Writer and a journalist with 20 plus years of experience, currently building her venture, Never Too Late, an India-focused longevity and healthy aging platform. Our guest today on the Settle or Be Better podcast is Kavita Krishnan, who's going to be talking to us about preparing for the 100 years life in India. So welcome Kavita ma'am, and over to you. Why don't you begin by telling us a little bit about your personal health and well-being story and your current goal?
So like you just said, Sakshi, I've always been writing and interviewing and speaking to very, very interesting people. And somewhere along the way, I also started reading a lot about longevity. Part of it was also because of my own, personal struggles with my health. As most journalists, I also ended up with a massive case of burnout. I had all kinds of bone issues, health issues, which is when I decided, it's probably time to stop focusing so much on the career and focus a little bit more on myself. And that's sort of where the journey started. And of course, along the way, a lot of reading, a lot of talking to people. And that's how I got interested in longevity. And, that's when I also came across a very unique problem in the fact that if you look at all the longevity conversation that's happening, if you look at all the research that is coming out, a lot of it, is from the point of view of the West. Now, it's not like people in India don't live long. It's not like there isn't research being done in India. It's just that, we are not talking enough about it. And there is another part to this. The problem is also, while research as such should be applicable to, any human being across the world, we are also living in a very specific micro environment, if I may use that word, environment that is very specific to our country. And even in our country, you can see the wide variety. Also, the kind of food we eat, the kind of gene pool that we have is quite different. And which is why I felt somewhere that probably there should be research, and which of course has been validated. I've been speaking to a lot of experts in the area, and Indian experts that is, and they told me that yes, and there is a lot of research that has now started over the last decade or so. And through Never Too Late, that is what I want to highlight. That is one of the things. The other thing, of course, is the other part of the conversation is that, it's great to think that you and I will live to 100, and let's hope we do. But the point is this, that what are we going to do? If you look at the current average lifespan, it's around 78 years. And the generations earlier were living much lesser than that, right? So you have easily another 30, 40 years to live. What are you going to do in that time? Also, are you really prepared for that? And that is another aspect of the longevity conversation that I am seeking to highlight through Never Too Late and help myself and help my readers and the community that I'm building to access the resources you need or one needs to prepare, for that 100-year life.
Understood. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing this story with us and being on the podcast with us today. I mean, there's so much to learn here today from this episode. And, rightly said that I talked to a lot of my friends and, who probably don't know so much about what is happening in the longevity space or the biohacking space and, the whole idea about even researching about health in that per se, because they are more focused on their careers or just making more money and everything, right? And we talk about, you can actually live to 100. Most of them will say, what am I going to do till I live to 100? I don't want to live that long. I mean, because most of the time we imagine ourselves as very old and fragile as a 100-year-old, and which is why we think we won't be capable of doing many things. So it's true that we need to have this conversation today. Definitely is the need of time. So to begin with, talking about retirement, because this is the conversation everywhere today, and most of the people want to retire early, right? I mean, I know people who retire in their 30s or in their early 40s, and they do have a vision of what they want to do after they get retired, but some or the other time some things get left behind in the hustle culture, because if you want to retire early, you have to work very hard for the first 2 or 3 decades, right? I mean, you need to make that much money and everything. So in that, people usually don't focus on their health so much, and what they think they would do after getting retired doesn't really happen the way they plan. And on the other hand, also there are the people, already in their 50s or 60s, like my parents also. I mean, if I ask them, they don't want to retire at all, because they just don't know what they would do after their life after 60 if they have retired. So, he's like, my dad is like, I'll just keep working, I don't want to leave. Even though the job is so stressful right now, he doesn't know what else to do apart from just work in his life after it retires, right? So what is your thought about it? Because you talk a lot about this, and you also say that it is not possible in the current age to retire. So what do you mean by that, and what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I know I'm not making a lot of friends with this statement. Everybody hopes to retire at 40, but the fact of the matter is this. Answer the question, what will you do after you retire at 40? I know a lot of people, I have asked this question, to turn around and say, I want to travel. Great. Say you retire at 40 and you're looking at a lifespan of 100 on an average. Maybe you'll hit 90, maybe you'll 80. Whatever is the last decade that, you envision for yourself. Do you know there are around less than 200 countries in the world?
Right.
And this is according to the United Nations, the members of the United Nations. So even if you're going to travel the entire world and say you're going to spend 1 month in every country, that is just 200 months. If you have 40 more years to live, you have almost 500 months. That is 480 months is what you're looking at. What are you going to do for the rest of the 200 months? Okay, so that's the question. So one of the key questions over here is, what will you do with all that time? The second key question is this. And again, for this, I would recommend that all the people listening to this, go and check out what is the inflation rate. Okay, because if you live longer, you will need more money. And trust me, whatever amount you have in your head is not enough. It's not even reaching close. If you want to do a back of the envelope calculation, take the average inflation rate, which is at around 5.5% according to the RBI. Okay, now you take that rate, you go to the SEBI calculator and put in that rate, put in the amount of years you expect to live, and see how much money you will need on a monthly basis to serve. And then you look at the amount of savings you have. Trust me, your savings are not enough. And the reason I'm telling you this is, as inflation increases, it's basic economics. As inflation increases, the value of your money reduces. And that's the reason we say that, start investing at 20, build your corpus and keep investing, because what happens is, if you invest for the long term, you manage to beat inflation. And right now, there are very few asset classes that are actually managing to beat inflation. So I don't want to go into the details of that because I'm not an investment expert, but this is like basic economics, and this is something that everyone who wants to retire at 40 needs to think about, because now you are no longer investing for another 20 or 30 years. Mm-hmm. If you retire at 40, you are effectively, you need to invest for the next 50 years.
Right.
And this is considering that, the ballpark, you are essentially taking into account how much you're spending currently, right? But things can drastically change as you grow older. Say there is a health concern, costs will increase. Depending on where you live, costs will depend on where you live. So if you choose to live in a small town, the cost will be different. If you live in a metro, the cost will be different. Similarly, healthcare, you will need healthcare of some sort. I'm hoping that everybody who you are taking care of your health and all of that. But also, let's be honest over here. I have also worked. I've gone through the rat race, and I know how it is. It's very difficult to actually take care of your health when you are working 14-hour days. If you do manage to do that after that, then I would love to come and meet you, and understand your secret. But it's very, very difficult. Typically, 30s, 40s is when most people start thinking very seriously about their health. That is another issue. Healthcare costs go up as you grow older, and Sakshi, the other thing is, our systems have also not kept in pace. Like, for instance, and rightly so, India is a very young country. Right now, we are grappling with a problem where we have the maximum number of youth in the world, and the biggest problem over here is jobs, right? So we are not even having that conversation of the fact that there are so many people who are aging, that so many people will be, over 50 in a few years. So 20 years from now, what you're going to see is a massive demographic shift. You're going to see the number of older people increase, outstrip the number of younger people in India. Now, that is an India that you are probably not even thinking about right now.
Right.
But that is a fact, and that is going to happen. That is how our population is growing. So when that happens, imagine the pressure on resources. Now, a lot of us, people listening to the podcast, people who are reading Never Too Late, are privileged enough in the sense that they have access to money, they have access to resources, they have access to very sophisticated investment, method. Yeah. And so they can actually, I believe they should not lose this opportunity that they have to, prepare. Because let's face it, if you are working on your health, you don't want to live the rest of your life wondering where the money is going to come from, where your income is going to come from. Another key thing, as you go through life, especially when you're working, when you are so busy in your 20s and your 30s, who are your friends? Have you ever thought of it? Most of your friends are either from college or they are friends you've made at work. How many of those friends are going to be with you when you're 70, 80, 90? So that is a big problem. You need to create your own circle. The other big problem that is happening is, I'll tell you why you need to create your own circle. Okay, that is, one is to obviously fight loneliness, to ensure that you have company as you grow older. The other problem that having a circle will solve is this. Like I said, the government right now is geared towards meeting the demands of the youth. They're geared towards meeting the demands of the poor, which they should be doing. What will happen is once that demographic shift occurs, we've not yet set systems in place to take care of the older people.
Right.
And I'm saying older or I'm not saying elder. They're two different things. People who are say 50 and above. Do you have maybe say pension products that will give you an income as you age? Do you have insurance that will last up to 100 years? You frankly don't have that right now. No? So there are a lot of issues over there. And also look at the families. Families also, there's a massive shift happening. How many of your friends you know, Sakshi, who are not in India right now, who are working abroad?
Yeah, many.
A lot of them are global citizens, right? They are in one continent for 5 years, then they move to another continent for another 5 years. And it's a great thing. It's part of the digital nomad lifestyle.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. When people like us grow older, we cannot depend on anyone to take care of us. We are probably the first generation. My generation will probably be the first generation that will have no one to take care of us. I personally do not want to, depend on my children. A lot of us have decided not to have children.
Right.
A lot of us have decided to live alone. So then in such cases, how are you going to ensure that you are taken care of when you're in a place or when you're in a situation where you cannot take care of this? So you need to think about these things. You need to think about money. You need to think about how are you going to pass your time, whether it's a career, whether it's by volunteering, whether social service, whatever it is that you want to do. You need to think about having a friend circle, a circle of friends who will be with you literally through every part of your life, every stage of your life. You need to think about, how are you going to take care of yourself when you probably need help.
Right.
God forbid you don't need help for a long time, but when you do, what will you do? And lastly, where will you live? Which is very important because as you grow older, you will not be up to or you will not want to maintain huge houses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Even getting a house painted is an expense.
True.
Getting the house cleaned on a regular basis is a huge task. You need to be able to take care of these things. So you need to start planning for all of that now. You need to know who can you reach out to if in case of an emergency. Right? And how will people know that there is an emergency? So there is technology for that. But who will be your person, your man or woman, Girl Friday, So these are things that you need to start thinking about right now because right now you have the time to do all of that.
Absolutely, and especially the point you make about having a social circle that you can rely upon is very important because we don't talk enough about how much isolation can take place once you are aging, or maybe you lose your spouse or something or the other happens, or maybe your children abroad, like you said. That happens a lot, and we really don't talk enough about how much isolation can come in. I mean,
in
even
fact, it's not just isolation, Sakshi. You mentioned about your dad not wanting to quit his job, right? Now, there is a reason for that. A lot of people identify with their job.
True.
Their identity as a person is linked to the work they do. So, which is why, and there is research to show this, that when people age, when they retire, and this is, people who are already retiring at the age of 60, what research has shown is typically in the first 3 to 5 years, men decline up to 30% or so because they do not have a circle suddenly. Mm-hmm. They do not have an identity suddenly. See, women are better off in the sense that, because of the kind of roles that they've been assigned where they are carers, they're nurturers. And, you would know this. Typically, your mother would have a circle which includes the mothers of your friends, right? Through school and through college. She would know people that she has met through you because of the kind of education you received or the classes you went to or whatever. Typically, women have a much larger circle in that sense as compared to men. So, which is why a lot of men find themselves, they really don't know what to do with their time. And that's a real fear. And that's exactly, what you were just expressing.
Right.
So it's not just isolation, it is also that sense of self-importance, if I may say, identity.
Right.
And you need to really work to ensure that it exists even after you retire.
Right, that's true. I mean, we spoke about exactly this with another guest in another episode with Sean, where he actually had volunteered in a research at an old age home, and that's what he said, that the research said that men die after they retire very quickly, like in less than a decade, because they identify with the jobs. I mean, even today, if you ask someone, anything about themselves, the first thing they will say is their designation at work. Because we probably haven't spent time enough about thinking what are we apart from our work or our designation, right? And it's very common, it's natural, it happens because we spend most of our hours at work. And also, when you talk about social circle, I was very late on the Ikigai train of the book. I was just listening to the audiobook yesterday, coincidentally, and that's where they talk about how Japanese the culture have social circles or groups or communities, especially for older people, where they are so closely knit that no matter what emergency one or the other has, whether it's a financial one, a medical one, whatever, they have that group to rely on. And there's no word for retirement in Japanese, like they said in the book, which is so interesting because all our Indian conversations, every family gathering would have at least one topic of retirement without a miss, right? I mean, that is what we are aiming towards, and when it happens, we don't know what to do. So that was very true. Thank you for sharing that. Talking about longevity, we usually, even on the podcast with other guests as well, we talk about more or less, what to eat, how to exercise, and what is the research saying, what supplements to have. And I think we have enough information about, like health and nutrition, and there's almost too much information about it right now that there's just conflicting opinions, right? But what we are talking about today is just so practical and very eye-opening, because in the 100 episodes, we have not spoken about the actual practicality of what it takes to live a longer life and to live younger that much longer, right? So when it comes to that, what are some pointers you would like people to think about in their early 20s or 30s when we think about longevity? Like, what would be some 4 to 5 pointers that they need to have at the back of their head whenever they are planning for their future?
So actually, there is very strong research that shows that just being happy and being positive can add years to your life. And it's very simple. How are you happy and when are you positive? You are positive, you are happy when you have a sense that your future is somewhat secure, right? If you had stress and tension about your workplace or your health or anything else, or about how where your next paycheck is going to come from, that is obviously you're not in a happy or positive frame of mind in that case. I would believe that our goal in living longer is also living happier, because if you're happy, you live longer, and that's what the research has shown. It's very simple. There are a couple of things that you need to focus on. 5 things actually that I would say. One is, of course, the time factor. What will you do after you retire? Like you say, retire. I don't call it retirement.
Right.
I just say kind of, what will you do after you slow down? I would not like to call it retirement. So say you decide that you want to slow down at 40 and not 60. What are you going to do with your life? Do you want to take classes? Do you want to pick up a second career? Maybe not a 9 to 5, because let's face it, we already have a situation where jobs are concerned, and nobody's getting a 9 to 5 job after 60, I really don't want to do that. I mean, one of the reasons I shifted gears and I'm in my 40s is also because I want to build something where I am the master of my time.
Right.
And I guess a lot of us want to, somehow get there. One is what you want to do. I would like to look at it as a second innings, So whether it is a job, whether it is, you want to work as a consultant on certain projects because you have a high level of expertise. I mean, in your 40s or in your 60s, by then you have, a lot of experience at work. And that experience is something that you can utilize. You need not work 9 to 5. You can probably just work on one project a month or one project where you're working 3 days a week. You can do that. So it could be consultancy projects like that. It could be some sort of volunteer work you do. It could be some sort of mentoring that you do. The thing is, it's not going to happen immediately. Like everything, it takes time. So how do you get there? You can start building that up when you're already working right now. So that's the thing. So right now, as you're working, you have access to a circle of contacts. You have a network, right? First is you need to start by identifying, or I use this phrase in the blog that I've written on this. You need to Marie Kondo your interests. Do you like the job that you're doing? Is that something you would want to, continue in some form?
Right.
If there is something else you want to do, say you are someone who likes to cook or bake. There are people who suddenly, left their day jobs and they've set up a bakery. Now that did not happen overnight. They've sort of worked towards it, right? Similarly, you might want to open a restaurant. You might want to paint. You might want to teach. There are a lot of things that you can do. So you need to first figure out what it is that keeps you happy, what it is that brings you joy, and maybe also if it can work as a second income stream, nothing like it. Why not? I mean, why shouldn't you have an income stream after you slow down? Like I said, that is one thing. So look at what you want to do. If you don't have a hobby, please invest time in building a hobby in your 40s. The reason you need to do that is twofold. One is the hobby can become your second innings or second career. The second reason is, and ideally pick a hobby that is not linked to your work. It should be something completely different. The other thing is that it's good for your brain. Learning new things is very good for your brain. If you pick up something where you're using your hands, we're going out and meeting people, that is even more better for your brain. You're actually
Right.
exercising your brain muscles. So all this is backed by research. And the third thing that it will do, if you get a hobby that takes you outside and gets you to meet more people, you're also making new friends.
True.
Because see, that is something we stopped doing after college. You
After COVID as
forget
well.
how to make friends. In many ways, it is almost like going back to what your mother used to do with you, take you to different classes and
Right.
arrange play dates for you. So those are the things you need to do. And apart from that, you can also, once you've identified what it is that you want to do, and if you still can't, after all of this, you can also try mentoring. You might be a very good mentor. Some people are very good teachers. So you can try all of those. You
Right.
can try volunteering. You might find a career in the social sector, and the social sector desperately needs people who have experience.
Mhm.
They may not be able to pay you that much. Frankly, when you slow down, you're probably also looking at a situation where you have enough money. You're not working to ensure that you have dinner on the table.
Right.
Then you are working to get a sense of self-worth, right?
True.
So the idea is completely different as to why you want to work. So once you do all of this, you should have a fair idea. If you still don't have a fair idea, there are executive coaches there nowadays who typically help people who have been laid off or who are trying to transition to a different career.
Right.
But you can also go to them and they would gladly kind of guide you over here.
Mhm.
So that is somewhat like a career guidance for older people in their mid 40s kind of. So that is another thing that you can do. Once you've identified that, then start, investing some time in it. So one is, if it is a business kind of thing that you're trying to set up, then you should ideally be spending time, if you can build it up as a side hustle. That's
Right.
great, because you already have some assurance. You can see whether it's going to work or not work. You don't jump in with no assurance. That is one.
True.
The other thing you can do is reach out to people who are already doing this. So, you have fabulous social platforms out available, and people are always willing to, guide and advise. So reach out to others who are already doing it and ask them for help, or talk to them, meet them. So basically do all the things that you did to get into this career, do that for building your second career. So that's what. And then there are a lot of resources also now that are coming up that, place people who are seniors in second careers and third careers.
Right.
So again, that is something you can do.
Mhm.
So yeah, so it's not like it's difficult. So that is the first part. Like I would say, the first part is build your second innings. I won't say career, I would say innings. It could be whatever you choose to do. So that ensures that your time is gainfully occupied.
Right.
You have some
Purpose.
reason to get up. Like you said,
Yeah.
ikigai. Basis of ikigai is you need a reason, a purpose in life. So this will give you a purpose in life. The other important thing that you need to do is invest in your health. Typically, what all the experts I have been speaking to also tell me, more than health, it is preventive healthcare. And this needs to start as soon as possible. You obviously, the basics are, of course, you need to eat right, you need to exercise, you need to, you know all of that. You don't need me to tell you all of this. Apart from that, two important things. One is we have access to a lot of technology nowadays, which tracks everything from the hours you sleep to your heartbeat to your steps and everything. So use the technology to your advantage. In your 30s, in your 40s, start getting tested. So you know if there is something wrong.
Right.
The idea of getting tested is not just it also helps you catch a lot of things early.
Mhm.
And if you catch a lot of things early, there is enough advance in medicine to help you reverse or delay those conditions. So again, preventive healthcare is very, very important. If you have, like I did, issues with your, with your bones because of work-related issues, like
Right.
a lot of us have spondylitis, a lot of us have tennis elbow problems,
True.
carpal tunnel syndrome. Don't neglect it.
Hmm.
There are people who come over at home. There are services nowadays which are actually backed by insurance. Insurance pays for it, where they come home and they'll do your physiotherapy. You don't even need to step out.
Right.
So you can get that done. So get your test done. If you need physiotherapy, get that done. If you need counseling, if you have stress issues, if you have depression, or I'm hoping your listeners don't have these problems, but if you have these issues, please get it addressed now. Don't wait till it becomes like this big thing.
Right.
And like I said, not just physical health, your mental health is equally important.
Absolutely.
And the third big thing in preventive healthcare is get your own insurance. Very important for a lot of people in their 20s. They think company का insurance है. बात ये है कि आपकी कंपनी, आपकी नौकरी जब छूट जाएगी, we are seeing a lot of layoffs. We are seeing also young people jump a lot of jobs. Your insurance cover ends when you leave the job. It's not going to follow through with you. The smart thing to do is to buy an insurance of your own and use the company insurance while you're working.
Right.
Okay, so you're building up your this. So that is the other thing. You need to have an insurance cover and revisit that insurance cover regularly, because you need to review it. You need to see what it covers. Especially if you're planning for longevity, you need to see if it covers things like hospital stay, if it covers things like diagnostics, if it covers things like home health care. You actually have services where they can set up an ICU for you at home. The other big thing, you need to get your vaccinations on time. I mean, whether or not you believe in it. So all of these come under the gamut of preventive healthcare, right? The third big thing is, of course, invest. Ensure you have a corpus. Now again, I am not an expert over here. I would recommend that everyone sit with a financial planner or an investment advisor, go over their money and see whether they are saving enough, investing enough, how they can change it, how you can look at getting some kind of a pension income. See, most of us don't have pension.
True.
Like our parents or grandparents did, because we don't work in government jobs. A lot of us are also part of the gig economy, which means you have income today, you don't have it tomorrow.
True.
So how can you then build a product? What kind of products can you invest in where you get a regular income after you slow down? That is another important thing. So again, money, like I said, is something that you need to sit with an expert and get it done. And again, like your insurance cover, you need to review that plan also periodically. So those are the three big things. The fourth very big thing in my book is, like you said, build your own social circle.
Right.
You need to invest time. So if they are your school friends, get in touch with them. If they are your college friends, get in touch with them. If you don't have friends, then like in one of the articles that I'd written on loneliness, put it here, loneliness is a silent killer. I mean, the WHO has gone ahead and actually said that, and it is a big problem. It is not just an old people problem. There was a Gallup poll that showed that most youngsters, youth in the age of 20 to 30, despite being on social media, are not really social. They are very lonely.
True.
Okay, and it's a big problem. It can lead to dementia, it can lead to anxiety, it can lead to depression, it can lead to stroke, it can lead to heart disease. Lonely people actually, as you grow older, the chance of hospitalization are higher if you're lonelier. So you need to speak to people, you need to have a group, and it has to move beyond the simple good morning and good night on your WhatsApp. Like I would say, I was telling a friend of mine, you need to meet people IRL. That's what's important. So you need to build a circle, and you have to invest time in your friends. So there was another study that I found which is very interesting. If you want to move from the just friends category to BFF category, you need to invest like 200 plus hours.
Oh, wow.
60 साल के बाद तो आपके पास शायद उतना टाइम नहीं होगा, अभी टाइम है, कर लीजिए.
True.
So build your circle of friends. You don't have friends, then go out, start playing sports, go out, take a class, go out, pick up a hobby. I mean, all of these things will get you in touch with more people outside your circle, your immediate circle, and that's how you build friends. The same things that your mother used to do for you. That is another very, very important thing. And then, of course, you need to start thinking about where you will live, which is important because you may not want to live in a metro for the rest of your life. Living in a metro is a very expensive thing to do. If you choose to move to a small town, then you need to also ensure you have a circle over there. You can't just move to a small town and expect that at the age of 60 or 70, I'm suddenly going to have a circle of friends. So it's not going to happen. You should know some people over there. You need to invest time in building that circle. The other thing is, if you choose to live where you are, even then, you need to see if it is conducive enough to, it's called aging in place. Is it conducive to age in place over there? Do you have hospitals that are close by? Do you have access to that kind of healthcare? Do you have access to help? It is not just healthcare. It is also help in terms of, maybe delivery, home delivery services. It could be house help who comes in. It could be things like basic maintenance issues of the house, of the building. So how easy is it to access these things? So you need to think about all that. And even within the house, you will need to think about and see, a lot of people may look at buying their forever home or moving into or renting into their forever home in their 30s and 40s, right? So when you do that, then you need to start thinking about also maybe later in your 50s, when you still have that money, because any kind of renovation takes money, costs a lot of money. You need to start thinking about redesigning your house in the sense that you might look at having some kind of a rampway if it's a bungalow.
Right.
You need to have wider doors for wheelchair access and for stretcher access. If there is a wall in front of your house, a stretcher won't come in or out. You need to think of that. If there are lifts, you need to see that, ensure that if you're in an apartment building, there are 2 lifts. Because there will come a time when you won't be able to, you might be living on the 20th floor, how are you going to get there?
True.
There are 2 lifts, there's generator backup. Within your house also, you need to look at things like within your bathroom, you have anti-skid flooring, to have grab rails installed. There's a lot of technology that's come in nowadays, very non-intrusive technology, which you can install in your houses, which of course you will probably need to do at a later date, but which can detect a fall. So it probably looks like a light or a fan or something, it's just a fixture, but it can detect a fall. It can send an alert. So you need to start thinking in those terms to ensure that when you do age, and very importantly, you need to ensure that there is less clutter, that you're not falling and tripping over things.
Right.
Rugs and floor cushions and carpets are very nice when you're young, but when you're older, it's a hazard. Similarly, you would want to invest in firmer furniture, firmer seating. You don't want those. You can't. Have you ever seen a 60 or 70-year-old sitting in one of those bean bags?
Yeah, not at all.
It's not possible for them. So you need to start thinking like that, and ideally start investing in those pieces now, because when you grow older, those things are just going to be expenses that will be a bother. So these are largely the 4 or 5 buckets that I can think of.
Amazing. These are some amazing pointers. I don't think many listeners listening to this right now have even thought of it in such detail. It's almost like, how families plan for the arrival of a new baby in the house. It's the same way that you need to plan for so much. There's so many more details to think of yourself.
It's interesting you say that. We talk about baby-proofing our house. In our late 40s, we should probably think about age-proofing our house.
That makes so much sense. Thank you so much for sharing these. These were really eye-openers, at least for me, and I'm sure for the listeners as well. And lastly, can you tell us a little bit more about Never Too Late? What is your plan with it? Like, is it going to be a community as well? Like how you were talking about having social circles, or how can people reach out to Never Too Late and what can they benefit?
So I'm glad you asked that, Sakshi. Thank you for that. So Never Too Late is the idea is to essentially build a community, wants to live longer and live happier. So we are essentially, I am speaking to people, between the ages of 30 and 55. This is the age when most of us are working, we have access to money, we have access to resources, and we can actually plan better.
Right.
Because, you have a flow of money. So then we also have time on our hands. Touch wood, most of us have time on our hands, right? We'd all hope to have. The idea behind Never Too Late is that you prepare now, not to retire. You prepare now to live to 100. And how do you prepare to live to 100? You do that by, investing. By investing in yourself. Mm-hmm. Not just investing money, but investing in yourself. You need to take care of yourself. Whether it is by taking care of your health, whether it is by ensuring you have friends, whether it is by taking care of your mental health, whatever it is, you need to invest in yourself to ensure that you are ready to live that 100-year life. We have got right now, we are at the stage where we are being given a gift of life in a way, right? You're actually getting a bonus if you were looking at it in salary terms. It is up to us to figure out how to spend that bonus. Would you choose to spend it sitting in a hospital corridor and waiting for your turn to come, or do you want to actually go out and check off every item on your bucket list? Mm-hmm. If you want to do that, if you want to live your bucket list life, you need to start preparing for that now, and that is simply what Never Too Late is about. My idea for this is, one, to build a community of like-minded people. Second is to provide the content that they need to to kind of get there, and also provide the resources. So it's also going to be an aggregator of the resources, and these are India-specific resources.
Amazing.
Resources that you and I can easily access. One of my key focus areas, because it's also my journey. Never Too Late is also my longevity journey. So one of the key things that I focus upon in all of this is that it needs to be accurate as far as possible. Mm-hmm. Which is the reason why I try my best not to put out anything that is not validated by research. And secondly, it has to be simple. If I can't understand it, I can't write it. And if I can't write it, I'm not going to communicate it. It's as simple as that. The third thing is, I also try to steer clear of any fads and any trends and all of that. Because let's face it, we are talking for a lifetime. We are not talking the next 2 or 3 months. Yeah, if you're looking for a longevity diet, if you're looking for something that will, make you fitter or something like that in terms of like a quick fix, you're not going to get that at Never Too Late. What you will get at Never Too Late is content that will help you prepare for that 100-year life and live longer, live happier. That is essentially it. So all the resources that you need, all the content that you need, and of course, by building a community, all the support and the people that you need to live a longer life with. That is the idea of Never Too Late.
Amazing. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that, and kudos to you for making this platform available to people, and I hope to see it grow as well along the way. And there'll be details in the description below. People can reach out to you, learn a lot more from you, and hopefully follow along with Never Too Late much more closely and benefit themselves as well as the community they are in currently. So thank you so much once again, Kavita ma'am, for being here today. That brings us to the end of the episode today. Are there any last messages or thoughts that you want to leave us?
I will just leave you with something that I have learned along the way, and which to me is the core of Never Too Late. which is that it's time. I mean, we've done a lot. By the time you reach your 30s and 40s, you've always been investing for other people, doing things for other people. At 40, it's time to stop. At 30 or 40, it's time to stop and start thinking about yourself. This time you invest in yourself.
Absolutely. That's a beautiful message. Thank you so much once again for being here and for this amazing episode. I can't wait to show it to my parents firsthand today itself because it's going to benefit them so much. So once again, thank you again for being here, and I hope that we can record another episode soon this year.
Thank you so much, Sakshi. Thanks a lot. It was lovely speaking with you.